My name is James Bridgeforth. I'm a young and very successful investor, and in this video, I'm bringing to you 6 stocks that you should consider buying and holding forever. These stocks can be very beneficial to your portfolio and send you on your way to financial freedom. The first 2 stocks I want to cover are actually going to be ETFs, which are exchange traded funds. And when you look at ETFs in a stock portfolio, you want to view this as the base of your portfolio. So the first one I want to talk about is going to be VTI. And the second one I'm going to talk about is going to be SCHD. These are both good ETFs that I hold in my position and in my portfolio right now that are the foundation of my stock portfolio. And the reason that I make ETFs the foundation is because they're reliable, some of the safer investments, and when you have a safe investment that is the foundation of your portfolio, it reduces the volatility. So let's say I have VTI and SCHD. They give me an average return of maybe 10, 15, or 20% a year, just depending on how well the market performed. But they're not going to take as big of hits as individual stocks, because an ETF is a basket of stocks where they take a basket of stocks and it also will track the performance of the S&P 500, maybe the Dow or the Russell. So there's many ETFs that will track certain sectors in the stock market. For example, there's also another ETF called QQQ, which I can make a later video about, that specifically tracks technology companies. But when you look at VTI and SCHD, these are companies that will track the S&P 500, and a lot of their holdings are considered in technology, which is the leading sector in the stock market. So ETFs can be a great foundational piece for your portfolio because they're less volatile. You want to build this as your foundation. And once you have your foundation is when you can build upon this and move on to different companies that I'm going to talk about in this video. So that covers 2 of our ETFs. So that's going to be VTI and SCHD. The third stock I want to touch on is actually going to be Tesla. And Tesla is one of the most innovative companies in the stock market. With Elon Musk as their CEO, they've been able to do generational and revolutionary things in their space. So Tesla is actually in the electric vehicle space, which many of you are going to know. Because when you walk around and you go outside, or maybe you drive around town, you see Teslas everywhere. And the reason is because Tesla is actually the only profitable electric vehicle company. And that just shows the level of difficulty that it takes to get into that space. And it's even more impressive what they've been able to do in that space of being the only one that's been profitable. And since they've mastered that space, Tesla is actually looking to expand to different sectors in different markets, to where their company is actually heavily invested into AI, robotics, and they also hold Bitcoin as a reserve currency. So not only do they hold the most finite asset on their sheets, but they also are heavily invested into AI. And if you're one of those people that believes in AI long term, then Tesla could be the perfect company for you. And this is just a couple of the things that Tesla has touched on that they're introducing. But one of the major things that they're looking to add is actually going to be automated self-driving taxis, which can be very beneficial because let's say you want to call a taxi or you want to get from point A to point B, but you don't have the means to transport yourself. Then all you have to do is get a self-driving taxi, sit in the back seat, and it'll take you to your destination. This can be very beneficial to people because a lot of people may not want Uber because they don't want to get into a stranger's car or they may not feel comfortable. So Tesla is able to rectify this issue by bringing forth a different solution with automated vehicles. And these self-driving taxis are also a great added revenue source for Tesla that they can add to their income sheet. And when you have an added resource of income, this allows the stock price to skyrocket, as many analysts have already predicted that they could see Tesla doing a 10x on their stock price from where we sit today. The fourth stock that will make a great buy and hold investment is actually going to be Meta. Meta is actually a company that I've touched on in previous videos where I talk about how Meta has one of the best income statements and balance sheets out of the entire stock market. Because of these amazing financial statements, Meta has been able to benefit greatly and their stock price reflects that. Meta is currently sitting at around $700 and I have a near price target of around $1,000 per share. Meta is also introducing other things to where they integrate AI into their technology as well. And when you have Meta that strongly focuses on all social media platforms such as Instagram and Facebook, which a lot of people use on a regular basis, a lot of people use Facebook and Instagram to get their news information. So you can understand the demand and importance that surround around these apps. And it's also also very profitable for the company, which their financial statements reflect. So you can see that Meta can be a great company to invest in, as I have a near-term price target of around $1,000, and with this information I believe that Meta can soon take off in the upward direction for years and years to come. Now that we wrapped up Meta as our fourth stock, I want to touch on the fifth stock, which is actually going to be Palantir. And Palantir has been one of the greatest investments that I've made in my investment journey. I was buying Palantir at around $8 per share, and now it's up in the hundreds. You have to understand that when you take good companies and you look at their financial statements, you look at the news driven and the data that's coming out surrounding these companies, and you see the future growth that's in them, you can understand that some of these companies are underpriced. So when you get in at an early point and you buy an abundance of shares, when the stock price ends up running up to hundreds of dollars, you're able to benefit greatly from this move. And this is the same thing that I did with Palantir when I was buying around $8 a share. But why I think it has room for future growth? Because they lead the way in national security, and they do it in a way that nobody has really seen before. So they integrate AI into the way that they use national security. And because they integrate AI, and many countries are trying to integrate AI into their everyday life in the way that they handle business, wars, whatever it may be, Palantir has been able to benefit greatly from this to where they're receiving an abundance of government contracts. And these government contracts are very beneficial for companies like Palantir because it generates an abundance of revenue for the company. And when you have that much revenue coming in from a solidified country, then you can see that their stock price will continue to rise because they're bringing in so much money. And they're actually a company that has a lot of high demand around it because there's a lot of countries that are coming in, trying to integrate AI into everything that they do, and Palantir is the way to do it on the defense end. And their stock price has reflected that to where they were at $8 a share not too long ago, and now they're all the way up in the hundreds. So this is another company that I will be buying and holding for the long term, and I suggest for you as well. And the sixth stock that I'm going to touch on in this video is actually going to be Nvidia, which is a company that I've spoken very highly of in my previous videos, and it's sitting at a current price of around $170. And I talked about how in my last video where I identified a support level and also where I see this company going, to where I see in the near term we're going to $200. In the long term I see $1,000. But if we're looking for a place to buy, I said $156. And I still stand on that statement today because I solely feel like Nvidia is a great company to invest in the long term. Everybody understands in everyday life that AI is the way to go. Many people are viewing it as the new technology boom or the industrial revolution, but this is more so a way of life, that people are using AI in their workplaces, every day at home, wherever they go. The governments are even trying to integrate AI like I talked about in Palantir. And I believe that with Nvidia, a lot of these companies that are trying to integrate AI into their technology, they have to go through Nvidia. Nvidia is the #1 AI chip making company in the world, and they're one of the most highly coveted stocks in the stock market, as they've just hit a $4 trillion market cap, something that no other company has ever done before. And with AI taking over everyday life and Nvidia being the gateway to where people are able to integrate AI into their businesses and everyday life by providing these places with these chips, and they have such high demand for the chips, that Nvidia is a company that's gonna soar in the future. And I'm saying this because if you want to be on the front end of AI, this is a company that you should take advantage of for the long term, and you want to hold for at least 10 to 15 years. This is a company that I'm looking to hold for the long term. All of these stocks, I guarantee you in 10 to 15 years will be at a higher price than they are today. So when you think about these companies, don't worry about where they're currently sitting and don't think about how expensive it seems at the moment. But I guarantee you by the least in 2030, these stocks will be higher than the price they are today. And this is why I'm coming forth with these stocks, not only because they're going to be higher, but all the stocks I touch on in this video are revolutionary to the stock market. They have been carrying the stock market for the last 2 years. They have been carrying the stock market, and they will continue to do so in the future. So if you enjoyed watching this video and learned anything new, or if you find any of these companies that you want to add to your portfolio, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, turn on that post notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next video.